Western media headlines, as usual, are as follows. 25% of Indians live on less than $1 a day, and 70% live less than $2 a day. Let us examine this issue of poverty, mainly in terms of slums in Indian cities, and its relationship to the betterment of these economic conditions. So first of all, what causes slums in cities in the first place? It is a vicious cycle of intense population growth. Secondly, opportunities in the cities, such as leading migration to the cities. And third, poverty with low incomes. And lastly, the tendency to be closer to work. The main reason out of all of these reasons is the slow economic process. After the independence in the year of 1947, commercial and industrial activity needed cheap labor in the cities. Plentiful were available in the rural areas. However, most people began to be encouraged to come to the cities and work. These people brought their families and cousins to the cities to work. Unable to find housing and money, they decided to build shelter closer to work. This first started out with one shelter, but then it began to grow from 2 shelters to 500 shelters to thousands of shelters. Although the government still provides electricity and drinking water to them, politicians looked at the slums as a vote bank. More slums developed as more population grew. In today's episode, we will have few guests who will talk about the Indian slums, especially in the cities of Mumbai and Calcutta, and have them tell us a bit about the lives in the slums. First up is our working single mom, Naima Kumar. How is the life living in the slums with Naima?
My name is Naima Kumar and I'm a single working mother of 2 children living in Mumbai. My husband died from a parasitic disease. My father originally moved here from the countryside in the hopes of giving my siblings and I a better future. He hoped to become rich and successful and eventually move to New Delhi. However, a few months after moving here, my mother became sick with circulatory problems and eventually died. Afterwards, it became impossible for my dad to earn money for my brother, my sisters, and me. Thus, we have been stuck in the slums for years now. Although everyone here wants to earn money and move somewhere cleaner and safer, we can't.
So can you describe your life at the slums and perhaps shed some light on what slums are?
When people think of India, they inevitably think of slums. People who have never been to India talk about the slums, but they know what it's like to live here. They talk about the poverty, the lack of sanitation, and whatnot. They talk as if they know what my life and the lives of my neighbors are like. However, I'm here to say that they don't. They do not know how horrible it is to live in the slums. What they see when they come to visit the slums is only half of the suffering that goes on.
So what are the main problems that exist? Why do these problems exist?
There are so many problems that plague the slums. As I've already mentioned, disease is a huge problem. My mother and my husband were just 2 out of the many people who have died because of disease. I think that the 2 main causes of all of these diseases are the lack of sanitation and the lack of fresh, clean water. Although I know that the water we drink, bathe, and wash in is horrible and filled with many contaminants, I cannot do anything because it's the only water we have. Our living conditions are horrible as well. We live on dirt floors and there is no ventilation in our houses. We also have no place for excretion, which causes a lot of problems.
Currently, India has the 2nd largest population in the world. However, it has been said that India will soon have more people than China because China's government enforced a one-child policy, while the government in India is doing nothing to curb the population. How is this affecting the slums?
Another big problem is the number of people here, as you just mentioned. The populations of slums have skyrocketed, and the government has not been helping us in any way. They don't find the need to curb the slum population. We don't have enough resources as it is, and the increase in people is making everything worse. We don't have enough food, enough water, enough of anything.
It is horrible to hear this.
I want a better future for my children. It hurts me to send my kids off to work instead of school. I hope to get out of the slums soon.
Thank you, Ms. Kumar. I hope things will get better. I have faith that you will find happiness soon. Next up, we have someone who has lived in the slums for most of his life. He is here today to talk about some of the good aspects of the slums. Hello.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about you and your experience in the slums.
Slum for most of my life, and I wouldn't change it for much else in the world. I'm originally from the village of Kaushambi. Back home, I had no future to look forward to. I came from a farming family and would have remained a farmer had I stayed in the countryside. I heard that people could find good work in the cities, better opportunities. Things aren't exactly what I imagined, but it was worth it. I found work in a textile factory, and even though it isn't the best job, I earned about twice as much as I would have back home. My wife found work as a cleaner for a rich family in the city. With the money, we were able to send our 3 children to school, and now all of them have better lives.
In general, what is your opinion about these slums? Can you tell more positive aspects of them or more negative aspects?
Problems in these slums, but it isn't all that bad. It's not like we're living in some refugee camp, waiting for help. All you hear about in the Western media is about disease and starvation and lack of proper housing. What you don't hear about as often is that many of us have color TV, refrigerators, and even radios. The government doesn't offer us much in services, but they turn a blind eye and let us divert power from all these electric cables running through the slums. My friend earns his living off of helping people hook up to such cables. Because of the black market here, I can probably get electronics and other luxury goods more easily than the middle class in the city.
What is the one thing that's so good about the slums that you live in?
We all sacrifice and work hard. The government doesn't help us out much, so we've all learned to help each other instead. One family's home was in need of repair, but the state of the house was so bad it had to be knocked down. We all pitched in together to help rebuild it. People offered materials at cheap prices and others offered to work for free. That's what everybody here does. We share, donate, and work together to survive, even though we come from all over the country. You should come by sometime around the religious holidays. Everybody comes outside to light fireworks and everybody sings and dances and is happy. Most people here have to leave their homes in the countryside, but we've made this our new home now.
So, I heard you're the so-called the very good-looking beggar mafia. How do people start their lives? Any anecdotes that you can tell us?
As we saw from our guests today, there are various people living in the slums, and they all have different opinions on what it's like to be in the slums. Although we do not have a clear answer on whether or not slums are good, we do know more information about the slums now. Hopefully, this episode has helped you learn more about the slums in India and shed some light on what it's like to live in the slums.